have the honor to present two awardees. The first one is the Secretary of Education, Jon King, newly confirmed, I think in March of this year. He had served as the Assistant Deputy or the Deputy Secretary of Education under Arne Duncan. And President Obama brought him forth in an atmosphere that no one thought that he would be confirmed, but he was in fact confirmed. This is a man who has been a teacher himself, has been a principal himself, has started a very progressive charter school in Roxbury. As if anybody knows Boston, they know Roxbury, and that in the middle of what we would call a ghetto area or whatever, but their scores rank higher than some of the top private and charter schools anywhere in the country. Secretary King started his first day signing a letter that was encouraging educators around the nation to ensure that all students had a safe environment in which to learn in, and he pointed out that we should pay close attention to making sure that Muslims and those perceived to be Muslims or any group such as that they are not discriminated against and they are not bullied. He has worked tirelessly to advance equity in our classrooms and educational system. His commitment to equal access and opportunity to education started from an early age, and Secretary King has been one who says that every student has the ability to learn, and it's our obligation to teach and to share or to tap into the native resources that God has placed in every child. He has the spirit of one of my leaders, Janetta Cole, who said, "We had nothing to do with who our ancestors were, but we have so much to do with whom our children become." On behalf of the Muslim Public Affairs Council, we offer this award to our brother, our Secretary of Education, Dr. Jon B. King, who's unable to be here, but we have a video that he's accepting the award, and then after we see the video, we'll bring up his assistant who will also receive that, Brother Mohamed Abdel Kader. So let us look at the video.
Hello, everyone. I'm Secretary of Education Jon King. I wish I could be there with you tonight. I'm humbled by being recognized with the Empowering Voices Award from the Muslim Public Affairs Council. For over 25 years, MPAC has been working to build a civic and cultural identity within American Muslim communities. Your efforts to empower members of your communities to participate in American civic life are so important to our democracy. I know this is a difficult time for many of our Muslim neighbors. Our nation is at a critical moment in our ongoing national discussion about what it means to be part of the American fabric. As a former teacher and principal, I know that our young people must be encouraged in our classrooms and not discouraged and put down because of their religion, race, or background. My team at the Department of Education will continue to work as hard as we can to ensure that all students, regardless of race, religion, the language they speak at home, or their zip code, receive a world-class education that helps them thrive. Recently, former Secretary of Education Arne Duncan and I encouraged teachers and school administrators to stand up firmly against bigotry and racism in our schools. All too often, students who are or are perceived to be Syrian, Muslim, Middle Eastern, or Arab, as well as those who are Sikh, Jewish, or students of color, experience hostility and bigotry. The Department of Education also recently convened a group of college and university administrators to engage them in a discussion about the climate on our nation's campuses. This work is admittedly hard, But we all have the responsibility and the opportunity to challenge ourselves to go beyond our past efforts and create settings where our foundational American values of inclusiveness, religious tolerance, and welcoming refugees and other immigrants are openly embraced. This award that I'm so honored to receive is about empowering voices. In 1965, President Lyndon Baines Johnson, upon signing the Elementary and Secondary Education Act in front of a one-room schoolhouse, said, quote, "From our very beginnings as a nation, we have felt a fierce commitment to the ideal of education for everyone. It fixed itself into our democratic creed," end quote. He later went on to say that education was a, quote, "revolution of the spirit against the tyranny of ignorance," end quote. And he knew from his own experience and his experience as a teacher that, quote, "education is the only valid passport from poverty." Those words ring true today. Together, we can make sure that our nation's students do not experience discrimination or harassment, and instead are getting a great education in environments that are structured to enhance learning and produce open and constructive exchanges of ideas. Succeeding in this effort is essential to expanding opportunity for all students. I look forward to continuing this work with you. Thank you.
And receiving this award for Dr. King will be Mohamed Abdel Kader, who's the Deputy Assistant Secretary with International and Foreign Language Education Office and the Department of Education. Mohamed.
Good evening, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. So I actually have a quick suggestion for MPAC. Where's Huda? Is she in the room? So I have a suggestion for MPAC. I want to suggest actually a new logo. I think you should take Emily, Huda's daughter, and put her face as the logo of MPAC, because I'm absolutely sure that that's going to make all the haters just go away. So if you see this kid's face and her cheeks, it makes everything go away. So again, I'm Mohamed Abdel Kader. Thank you so much for having me. On behalf of Secretary Jon King, on behalf of the Department of Education, I really just want to say thank you to the team at MPAC for this recognition and this high honor. I really also want to thank MPAC for being a reasoned voice here in DC and a reliable voice on issues of justice and equity, and I always appreciate being able to pick up the phone and call your team here in DC, Salam, for their help and guidance and participation. So I appreciate that. Secretary King asked me to echo one message, and you heard it in the video, so I'll say it again. At the department, we are committed to do everything that we can to make sure that every student, regardless of their background, regardless of their religion, regardless of where they are from, regardless of what language they speak at home, regardless of what zip code they grew up in, we are committed to making sure that every student gets a world-class education in this country, from California to New York, from Florida, all the way to Washington State. That is a promise, and that is a commitment from our team at the department. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, so we spent some time at the department to thank those who are doing some pretty tough work in the classroom, those who are making a difference in the lives of our students, of our young people, of our future. Often they are doing this work under very tough conditions. They're often underpaid, they're often overworked, and very often and very frequently underthanked. So if you can read this sign up here to my left, you can thank a teacher, because it's what happens in the classroom that's incredibly special. It's what happens in the classroom that makes our communities more understanding and more civil and ultimately more equitable. It's in our classrooms where the little ones, like Huda's daughter over there in the corner, will one day pick up a book or a story about another part of the world, or they'll try a food in a classroom to inspire their imagination or cultivate their curiosity. And that's something beautiful, and that's something we want, and that's the promise of our education system. In our classrooms, we see high school students who are learning about different cultures and gaining these skills so that they can talk to their neighbors who may not look like them, who may be from another corner of the globe. In our college classrooms, we see students who are continually inspired to hop on a plane and go immerse themselves in a different part of the world and come back with that knowledge and that understanding. We want to see more college students who are learning about the diversity that we see here at home in the United States and appreciate that and understand it and not be afraid of it. We want to make sure that these classrooms are safe spaces for our students. That's an obligation that we all have. We have to be engaged in making sure that is the case. And as I mentioned, we're committed to doing that at the department. So I want to take a second to thank all the educators in the room. I know I probably can't see you, but can I see a show of hands of any educators? If you've spent any time in a classroom, I see several hands around the room. So I want to take a second to thank the educators in the room. And I want all of you as leaders and as mentors to encourage the young people from our community to think about careers in medicine and law and accounting, but to also think about careers in education, because being in the classroom is where you can influence young minds, and being in the classroom is where we can push away the scourge of bigotry and discrimination and hatred and open the minds of all young Americans to different ways of doing things. So that's a challenge I hope you'll take seriously. Again, I want to express my gratitude to MPAC and the MPAC team for all of their work, for engaging government, for engaging the community, and I hope that the community will also think about reaching out and engaging with leadership, not just on issues of foreign policy and national security, although those are important for our community, but as was mentioned earlier, what about healthcare? What about education? How many of you care about small businesses? What about taxation? Those are all issues that are important to our community. So please reach out and engage. I hope that you'll see us as partners, because we can't move the needle alone. This is a partnership, and we need you to be a part of that. So again, I just want to say thank you and have a good evening.